their parents, you know, you take all their parents too, and you throw them all together in some little place, like maybe some little island in the Pacific or something like that, that's uninhabited, and and all those other families and such, the parents only know their native tongue. They probably won't be able to figure out, you know, very well what the other people are saying. I mean, they'll eventually get it, you know, get some of it, but they won't be able to, you know, probably learn language completely or fully. But the kids will probably be able to learn all 4 languages, and not only that, but they'll make their own language, which is very interesting. Creoles or pidgin tongues develop whenever there's a mixture of languages in a similar area, and the children are brought up with that. Where the children, what's interesting though is the fact that the basic grammar of all pidgin tongues is the same. They I don't exactly know what the grammar is. I just know that they're the same, which is kind of interesting. So we all pretty much have this innate language logic processing going on in our head, and you know, the languages that we speak, you know, post you know, childhood, or that we learn and stuff like that, that we you know, develop an understanding of, like English and whatever, and then that we produce as adults, is not, you know, exactly corresponding to that innate language. There's been lots of changes over the millennia to, you know, to make some things that maybe were a little bit less than logical, or maybe just a little bit, you know, not exactly aligned with what you learn as a kid. That's why you make a lot of those little mistakes when you're a kid, because you're still learning. But part of it's that, and part of it's this. Some of those mistakes are, you know, because it's not the most maybe logical to have the status quo, our language, the way it is. So, or it doesn't correspond necessarily with that innate language genes in the children, and so that's kind of, that goes to our similarities. Now, why do we have similarities? Well, obviously, we have these similarities probably from a lot of, you know, I was just kind of talking about genetic bottleneck kind of a deal, or where you could have that, or it could be, you know, like, you know, just basically the people that can speak are a lot more successful than everybody else, and, you know, outbreed, out-reproduce, kill them off, whatever. Anyways, so that's probably part of the reason why we have similarities. Another part of the reason why we have the similarities is like the tool making, creativity, and stuff like that. There's probably been a convergence of like-minded individuals, or, you know, mostly a convergence. Maybe there's some definite differences and such, but convergence between people in general towards some kind of a, because of the fact that we all speak the same language and such. So that's why we have the similarities, some genetic convergence, and probably also from evolutionary bottlenecks. But again, people might probably converge together mostly genetically because of the fact that, you know, helping, because there's, you know, probably some small amount of people 100,000 years ago or 50,000 years ago in Africa that, you know, got that gene, and then, you know, went on to conquer the world, you know, and the human race that we know today. And so that's why we have those similarities. So we can talk about some things that we don't know. We do not know whether or not, you know, others have the same experiences as we do. That's right, we just kind of talk about that. We probably will never know that. That's kind of an unknowable. You can't know, you know, what another person's perceptions. I mean, potentially what you could do is maybe you could see how their senses work. Like you could, what's interesting about brains is that pretty much any kind of sensory stimuli you stick into the actual neocortex itself. Like if you were to take like a video camera with some, you know, with some what do you call it? Like little electrodes on it that corresponds to the signal that it's getting from the outside world, and you were to stick that in someone's head in the right way with, you know, the right chemicals and stuff, it would implant in there, and the person would probably be able to see, or at least they would say, "Oh, I can see." You know, whether or not it's the same as sight, or, you know, the perception is probably different, but they can make, you know, logical judgments and deductions. Say, "Oh, there's a wall," you know, because they have an idea, like other people call whenever this happens, you know, this stimuli that they're getting in a wall. That same thing, whenever they get that in, then they say that, you know, it's a wall or whatever. They would know that that's what you call wallness. That's a wall. And likewise, you know, with anything else, you know, that's the color green. Oh, okay, that's the color green. Okay, I understand. The video camera has this signal, I'm putting it in my brain. Of course, that's not they don't have the perception of that thinking, but that's what happens. I mean, that's what happens when, and it works. I mean, people have had, you know, extrasimilar, extra sensory stimulus implanted into their brain successfully. There are people that have little chips in the back of their occipital lobe, back here responsible for vision, connected to a camera on the outside world, and they're able to get some kind of a sense of reality outside through vision then. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So, what you could do, what I'm going to get into that, is you could potentially, take some, neurons or the signal from someone's neurons from their eyes or something like that, and you could stick them, you could stick that signal into someone's brain in the similar place of where their eyes usually send information or something like that. And then you might be able to get something kind of like the perception of what they have. Probably not. Actually, that probably wouldn't make any difference because your eyes have about the same genes and all that kind of stuff. So that really, the only way you could do it is through those kinds of methods, though.